Hello everyone, this is Damien from the Learn English Through Football team, and I hope you are all doing well. I am here in London, and it's the day after the first round of matches from the Premier League, and the opening day or opening weekend was a really interesting one with some huge results. Unfortunately, my team Tottenham were well beaten by Brentford, another London side, and this was on Saturday. We lost 3-0. Do you know any other phrases in English to describe when a team is well beaten? Well, one phrase is a heavy defeat. So we can say that a team suffered a heavy defeat. So yes, Spurs suffered a heavy defeat at Brentford. And I'll give you some more phrases at the end of the show that also refer to heavy defeats or being well beaten.
You're listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast.
Yes, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast, and this is our weekly football expression podcast that looks at an interesting phrase or word from the previous weekend of football. And this week, we are going to look at a phrase that came from the Hull City versus Manchester United game on Saturday, which the home side Hull won by 2-0. And the phrase is to punish a side. We will also do a quick review of our predictions from last weekend. You will hear the phrase to go for and he went for in this section. Then at the end of the show, we will review some of the language from this podcast, including some more phrases to describe a heavy defeat. Okay, so the football phrase that we are going to look at today is to punish a side. If a team punishes another team, it means that they have taken advantage of a weakness in their opponents, or they take advantage of when an opponent makes a mistake during the game. So, for example, if a defender makes a bad mistake and the opposition scores a goal from this mistake, then we can say that they have punished the team because of their mistake. We might also hear the phrase used to describe a collective weakness in the play of one team. So, for example, poor defending or an inexperienced goalkeeper can be punished by the opposing team. And this phrase was used in a Guardian newspaper report from the game between Hull City and Manchester United. Let's take a look at what they said. Number 1, Hull punished United defence in victory. And number 2, United were sluggish from start to finish and rightly punished for failing to defend set pieces with any degree of competence. In the first example from a headline in the report, Hull City found a weakness in United's defence. So Hull punished United's defence suggests that United were weak in this area. They made many defensive mistakes, especially at set pieces, and Hull took advantage. In the second example, the passive form is used to show that the focus is on the team that has been punished. That's United. They were sluggish, which means they were slow and not very sharp, and this meant that they were punished by Hull, their opponents. So Hull City punished Manchester United for making many errors and won 2-0. Now, in our first podcast of the year, both myself and Damon tried to predict the Newcastle versus Liverpool game. The match finished 2-2 after a last-minute equaliser from Liverpool. Damon was close with his prediction as he went for a 1-1 draw, while I was completely wrong because I had gone for a Liverpool win. Remember that we sometimes use the verb phrase to go for when predicting games. What did you go for in the Newcastle-Liverpool match? We'll have another prediction in our next podcast at the weekend. We'll be looking at the game between Chelsea and Brighton. And go along to our predictions thread on our forum and add your scores now.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Rudy et je suis un supporter de Liverpool. Vous écoutez Learn English Through Football podcast.
Okay, before we go, let's look back at some of the language from today's short podcast. So, on this week's football expression, we have looked at the phrase to punish another side, which is when one team takes advantage of their opponent's weakness and then scores a goal or defeats them in a match. Can you think of any other words or phrases that are linked to this expression? Maybe the phrase capitalize on an error. Both of these phrases suggest that one team has taken advantage of a mistake by their opponents. And how would you say these expressions in another language that you know? How would you say this phrase in another language? And don't forget that at the start of the show, I asked if you knew any other words or phrases to describe a team that was well beaten or that had suffered a heavy defeat. Well, we could say that the team had been thrashed, thumped, or hammered. All of these mean that the team conceded a lot of goals in their defeat. Let us know if you can think of more words and expressions about heavy defeats, and hopefully this won't happen again to Tottenham. Now, if you come along to our site and open this post, you'll see some teaching ideas at the top of the post in which we suggest a few ways to possibly use these materials with your students or even learning by yourself. We also have a thread for teaching ideas on our forum, so come along and take a look and maybe share some of the ways you might use this with your learners. Now, if you have any questions or comments about this week's football expression or indeed any other football language, then drop us an email at contact@learnenglishthroughfootball.com, while you can also find us on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Instagram. We also have a football language forum where you can ask and answer any questions you have on the language of football, including that thread for this week's expression, punish a team. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our football language podcasts.
Hello, my name's John. I'm from Hull. I'm a Hull City fan. You're listening to languagecaster.com.
Yes, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast, or as we were known before, Language Caster. And that was from a Hull City fan. I am sure that he is very happy indeed this week. That's it for this week's football expression, to punish another team. We'll be back with our weekly podcast on Friday with another football language podcast. Enjoy the football this week. There's lots of Champions League qualifiers this week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.